Okay, we're going to start drawing our bunny today. So a bunny is going to be drawn from the back, so we don't have to worry about the face and the eyes and so on. So what you can notice, if I get my pencil here, is that I've got the shape already drawn on my paper. It sort of looks like a snowman without the extra bump on the top. So what we're going to do is, if you think about it as shapes, if you think, you know what, that's really hard for me to draw, if you think about it as shapes, the head is sort of like an oval, the body is more of like a bigger circle, and then you have your tail, which is going to go right at the bottom. So all it is circles. Just like I've always told you, everything you draw can be broken down into shapes. Next, we're going to work on our ears. So what you're going to do is one ear is going to go in the normal direction, or the regular direction that you would see, and it is basically just a swoopy line. Make sure that it goes tall enough that it looks like an ear. The other ear is going to come off to the side a little bit so that our bunny has some interest to it. Now we're ready to start drawing our lines. Now, a really good idea is to use a ruler for the sides, and then you can freehand or just use your own motion for the lines that go over the bunny. I won't be able to use a ruler for you today because I don't have a specific ruler on this project, but I will do my best to create a straight line for you. So you want to make sure that you are, I'll use a pencil here. You're going to come straight across, and then once you reach the side of the bunny, you're going to arch up a little bit, and then you're going to arch up a little bit more when you come to the bunny's tail, and then you'll arch back down and then go straight across again using your ruler. So you're going to keep doing that. When you come to a part of the bunny, you'll go here, add a little bit more of a bump, and then go straight. Now my lines aren't perfect because I'm using a stylus on a screen, but you guys will be able to be much neater than I am. So you're going to keep going with that. So you'll go straight and then arch a little bit and then straight again. Now when you get to your bunny, you want to make sure that you're not going straight and then doing these great big bumps and then going here, because what's going to happen is that as you move up your bunny, you're going to have lines that are not lining up the way that you want. So you're going to have to make sure that you try and keep your bunny arches a little bit more contained. I'm going to have to erase that a little bit so that I can show you what I mean. Also, when you make those too big of bumps, what happens is that you don't end up getting the detail that you want, because you run out of space and you only end up with 4 or 5 of the lines when you really want to have a whole bunch, so it makes it look like that bunny is jumping off the page. So you go back, so you'll go straight across, arch a little bit, and then go straight again. So you'll keep going. Oop, that was a little bit bigger. See, even I do it. You want to try and keep your distance the same in between your lines, but if you don't, then that's okay too. So I'm going to undo those lines. And I'm going to put it back to the marker so that you can see what I'm doing. So you go straight, a little bit of an arch, and then straight again. So you'll just keep doing that until you get up to your ears. Once you get to your ears, you do the same thing. Once you get to the side of your drawing, you do a little bit of an arch, straight in between the ears, a little bit of an arch, and then straight again. So you want to give enough of an arch that it looks like it's coming off the page, but not so much that you have too big of a gap that it doesn't define the picture that you have underneath. So this one here, I got a little bit carried away with my arch. So what I can do is if I've got all that way and I go, oh man, I did that one a little bit too big, you can always go back in and add another one in between. Remember, this is your art. So I've added my extra one and that looks a lot better. So have fun with it. Do your bunny all the way up. And then I'll show you how to color it in the next slide. As you're coloring, you're going to use your shading technique that you have been using. So you'll do regular pressure here on your sides, on your straights. So you don't have to do a whole lot of thinking with your coloring there. Once you come to the edge of your ears or the edge of the bunny, the easiest way to do it is to take your heavier pressure and go up in a swoop on either side so you know where you're heading with your shading. And then once you've got your heavier colors established, you go a little bit lighter, and then at the very end you're going to do just the really light shading. And make sure you're keeping your pencil. See how my pencil is going in a C? You want to keep that to give it the illusion that it's coming up off the paper. See, as I'm working on my bunny, along the edge of where my drawing was, I'm making sure that I have my darkest coloring, and I do a little bit of a line there so that way you can see where the definition is of the bunny. So when it comes to a regular color and then to the edge. So make sure that this is darker than your regular coloring pressure. Now here I've got my two dark sides, and then I'm going to color my regular next shade. But I've got this sharp line between my really dark and my next one. The way to get rid of that is to just take your pencil crayon in sort of an oval and you blend it up. So you end up with less of a defined line. And then you just bring it and do your light. Remember, it's always easier to go a little bit darker than it is to bring it back lighter. So it's best if you start with your dark, go light, and then as you need to, bring it a little bit darker as you need. Remember to stay in your lines and do your even pressure here. Bunny, that the amount of really light area becomes bigger when you get to the body part. So if you're saying, oh, my hand is tired from coloring, just think that when you're in this body part, you don't have to color as dark. And if your hand is hurting from coloring, then what's happening is you are pressing too hard or you're gripping the pencil too hard. So what you want to do, you just stay with your regular color, right? You do your dark line there. You do your dark shading one side, dark shading on the other side, and then make your way up. And then you just have to go really, really lightly all the way across here. Now, lightly doesn't mean that you're leaving a bunch of white space. See how I left a bunch of white space there? That doesn't mean that you're leaving it. You're still doing your full fill in your space, but you don't have to press hardly at all to get the color that you want to show your sense of depth for your bunny. And then you finish off your row, and you're done. So again, and if it looks like you don't have enough, just like I said in the last section, you can always bring your darker up further and then smooth it out just by going over it really lightly and smoothing out out those sections. Right? So you want to have sort of an even dark ring around it. You don't want to have it be too jagged. So try and keep it as smooth as you can. The tail, you're going to have to do your dark to light in a couple of spots. So you'll do your regular coloring on the side. You'll do your dark. Now, if you get to the point where you've colored really dark here, you're like, oh, it doesn't look like there's going to be a difference with my coloring. Just press a little harder, make that line, and then you're going to just have to do your extra pressure on there to give you your dark. Okay, now on the bunny's tail, you're going to do that line again and do a little bit, not as dark, but just enough that it gives you a bit of definition, because you don't want to make it look like the bunny's got a booty and then the tail, right? We got to keep this bunny looking like a real bunny. So then you take your dark, take a little bit of dark over here, and then bring your light, because you want to make sure that your tail looks like it's coming out too. And then you'll do a little bit of dark on this one, and then your regular pressure and dark shading. Again, blending your dark to light. And here you can, when you're coloring, you can sort of trick it a little bit. And instead of doing as much of a curve, you can go a little straighter, so it makes your bunny's butt look a little less like bump, bump, bump.